So I'm going to do something that I haven't done in about a year since I bought my spiral mixer. I bought this about a year ago, and I bought my Rackmaster oven about 4 years ago. So for about 3 years, or even longer before that, I was hand mixing in tubs, and I'll show you how I used to do that. So we're going to do plain white sourdough, and we're going to do 12. I'll put in the description the recipe for a single one and all 12 that I'm doing now. So I've got my water, 3,900 grams. I'm going to put all the water, except for just a little bit, I'm going to leave behind, because we're going to add that to the 120 grams of salt. So I put that to the side. I've got my starter. It's peaked. This is 1.2 kilos. If you look inside, very active. This peaked about 2 hours ago, so it should be fine still. So we'll weigh this off. I'll tear the scale because we need 1.2 kilos of starter in here. And I'll just tip that in like so. I'll have to scrape some off, but I'll turn the scale around so you can see the number. So we're going to need another 400 grams. I measured this almost perfect last night, about 8 hours ago. And this is a ratio 1 to 7 to 7 for the starter. Just need 100 grams more. So I've got my spatula. Weighed this almost perfect, so there's not going to be much left in here. 1,200. And if you look inside here, there's barely any left. So now we're going to break down the starter into the water. This just makes it easier to hand mix it in, because the water is going to absorb all the yeast as well. So all the little yeasties will be in the water, and it just makes it easier to spread through the flour. So we'll break that down. We're going to be autolysing this and doing about 6 stretch and folds, so it's going to be a lot more hands-on. So I've got my flour here, and it's organic white. We're going to need 5.4 kilos of flour. Now, so I use an Australian flour, and the protein is 12.5, and that can range depending on the season. So we're going to add 5.4 kilos of flour. So we're going to add half for now. So, and just mix this in. I've got this cool tool that I use a lot when I was hand mixing. You can get it off Amazon. Just helps a lot with hand mixing. Want to get all the edges in, so there's no dry spots. This is only half the flour so far. Once we add the remaining flour, it will get harder to mix. But we're going to do a lot of autolysing, and that will take away a lot of the hard work, because when flour and water sit together over time, the bonds will get stronger. So all right. So we have left the salt out, and we will put that in on the second autolyse. Okay. Now we just add the remaining flour, which is 5.4. Put that on top. I used to do tubs and tubs and tubs of these, so doing one isn't going to be too bad today. And that's 5.4. Now I'm just going to mix this in as much as I can. We're not going to over mix here. We just want to get rid of all the dry spots. So I'll just do this easily, because it's a lot of hard work, so don't go too hard. Just want to get that dry flour absorbed as much as you can. And then we'll leave it, add the salt, the rest of the water, and we will autolyse it. And you'll notice every half an hour it will get stronger and stronger and stronger. This is a lot harder than just sticking it in the spole mixer, that's for sure. And this should take a few minutes. So you're going to get to a point where using this isn't going to be enough. This is where I go to my scraper. Try and get a strong one. I've got this Mondo one that I used to use for cake. And this will help you scrape it to the sides too. You can just keep mixing that in, using the scraper too. Scraping to get to the sides. So now, a lot of the flour is absorbed. All the dry spots are gone. Maybe a bit in the corner. This is where we're going to use thyme. Thyme is our friend, especially when it comes to hand mixing. We're going to keep leaving this for half an hour and coming back. There's a lot of more hands on. Well, like you'll notice, it'll get smoother and smoother and smoother over time. That's it. We're going to leave this for half an hour, and then we'll add the salt and the remaining of the water. So it's been half an hour. I've got a cup of water too. This is going to be great for keeping our hands wet. So if you look at this, we're going to add, what I'm going to do is wet my hands and add the salt and the water. So first, I'm going to put my fingers in like this, like so. Get my salt, which was 120 grams. Make sure it's all broken up. I get salt in big bags, so sometimes it clumps up. All right, so I'm going to put the salt on, about half, like so. Get some of the water that we had, use half, just sprinkle, like so. Now we grab this egg here. So you'll notice it's already getting quite a bit of strength already, even after half an hour. Again, fold that round. It's when I do this that I really appreciate the mixer. Alright, so now get the rest of the salt. Put the dimples in like I did before, like so. Water on top. Like so. Gonna grab this corner here. Gonna get a scraper. Make sure you can get in the dough off all the edges. Like so. Push that over there. So this is coming along really nice. Now we're going to add the rest of the salt. Put it on. and the rest of the water. So this water is going to help the salt get into it a lot easier than if we held back a little bit. So I do add a bit more water at the stage, but it will absorb. On the next stretch and fold, you will notice it will absorb in. And once all the water's in, just going to stretch it a bit, like so. It's wet, but it will absorb. The water will get absorbed. This is 75% hydration, so there's a lot of water for just white flour. But you can get away with a lot higher hydration when you hand mix. So I'm going to leave this half an hour and do another stretch and fold. And at this point, I'm going to also mark the side of the tub. So I'll just evenly spread this flat so I can see it. Now I'm going to mark the side of the tub where we're at, because we're going to increase this depending on, we'll have a look at the weather. We're there. The room temperature is currently 23.4, and I like my dough temperature to be about 25 degrees. I do a dough temp check. Of the dough. We're at about 24.8. So I've turned on my prover that I made. It's just an old oven that I use. I'll have a video about it, but it's an old oven with a heating mat inside. So I will put this in there during the course of the day so that the temperature stays the same all day. I only do this because at 25°, I know how far to push it in the bulk ferment and in the Bannetons. So I'll get the consistent results every time I bake. If my temperature is the same, the water temperature is the same, and every single time I bake, then the result should be the same every single time. What I will do is take a dough sample for my Aliquot jar as well. I have a video about this as well. And I will take a dough sample now, because this will help us also read the growth of the fermentation. So get that to the 0 mark, or close to it as possible, to the 0 mark. And when that gets to 50%, and I'll check this, when that gets to 50%, then it's ready to be shaped, and we'll start putting it in Bannetons. I'll put that lid on. I'll put the lid on this. I'll put this in here so it stays at 25°. And in half an hour, we'll do a stretch and fold. And we should do about 5 or 6 of those. So now we're going to do our first official stretch and fold, because we added the yeast an hour ago and we added the salt half an hour ago. So it's all been combined now for about an hour. This hasn't moved. This won't move for a while. You'll find the dough grows a lot more in the second half of the bulk ferment than the first half. I'm just going to stretch this as far as I can. Like so. And that's it. You'll notice it's not smooth yet, but it will get smoother over time. It's only been an hour, and we're going to be doing at least 4 more stretch and folds, because we need to build a lot of strength, because we've hand mixed this. So this will go back in the prover, and in half an hour I will do exactly the same thing. So it's been half an hour. Second stretch and fold. Let's have a look. If you look at it, it's still not smooth. I'm going to bring this up as far as I can. As far as I can. And that's it. So, put it underneath itself. It is getting smoother. I will scrape down the sides as well. And we'll give this another half an hour. Dough temperature is 24.9, which is perfect for where I want it to be. I like to be on 25 degrees. You'll notice around the edges now, it's picking up, and this will just get smoother with every stretch and fold. Room temperature is dropping, so I'm glad that I'm using the prover that's set to 25, and it has grown a bit, but we want that to be on the 50, which is there. So it's got a way to go. So that gives us plenty of time to build strength in the dough. Stretch and fold number 3. Let's have a look how this is. And it's getting smoother. So let's do another stretch and fold. So they all stick more because we did mix in the tub. So I haven't oiled the tub. But yeah, it's got strength. If you look at it, it's building strength overall. So that's it. Put that. Let's just do a quick dough temperature check. And it's still around about the 24, 25, which is where I want it to be. Okay. In half an hour, we'll do stretch and fold number 4. So, number 4, stretch and fold. Now, if you look at the top of the actual dough, we've got fermentation active. We've got signs of activity for fermentation on top of the dough here. So, we're going to do another stretch and fold. Maybe not as much as I can. And you'll notice it's really looking good. Man, this is sticking all the time. It always sticks when I do on my videos. But yeah, if you see this, it's really looking good. We're going to do 6, so maybe 5. But have a look at the dough on the next stretch and fold and see how it looks. Stretch and fold number 5, and we have grown a little bit. Let's look at the top. It's looking good. There's curves on the edges, which means that it's got strength. I'm not going to do 6 stretch and folds. I'm going to do 5. So this will be the last one, and then I'll let it grow probably 2 to 3 hours, depending on how long it takes. So let's take this up. What's that? You'll notice it's a lot more stretchier. So tuck the ends in. Just causes tension on the top. It's nice on top. We're going to leave that a few hours. Really let it rest. We don't want to touch it much anymore. We want it to really get air inside. We don't want to knock any air out, even when we're shaping. We've got the strength we need. So leave this a few hours. And that gets to 50%. We will pre-shape. So it's been about 6 hours. And just before it hits 50%, I will pre-shape it. The room temperature ended up dropping down to 23 degrees. So I'll take this out, and I'll take this out too now, almost 50. The dough, it's nice and fluffy. It's got a jiggle to it, see that? It's a lot of air. So I'll wet my scraper, and I'll just release this from the sides. And I'll shake this before I give it the water. I'll just pre-shape this at 850 grams each. Turn the scale on. So I'm going to scale this at 850 each. I usually do about 830, 850. I'll just gently, I don't want to knock any air out of this. So not too sticky, not too overbrewed. It's on about 40% at the moment. Yeah. So on the last two now. And on the last one now. We'll probably cut it at 860 with this recipe. So and I just have a little bit left over. I will put flour on top and then we'll put it in the Banneton. And now we'll just throw flour on top. And I'll leave this for about 15 minutes before I put the Banneton. So it's been about 15 minutes. They're still bouncing back, which is good. Like if you touch it and it comes back slowly, then it's ready. So we're not on 50% just yet. We're just below. But what I'll do is I'll put them in the Banneton, and when that gets to 50%, I'll put them in the fridge. So they can sit in the Banneton for about 20 minutes too. So I'll get the first one. I'll just stretch it out. I like to go at an angle. Have like a triangle here. And then I'll just roll this. Not knocking out any air. Put it in the rice flour here. And put it in that Banneton. I have a few ways of shaping. The other way is I go to about a third. I stretch this out. Stretch that out. Push this across, making sure I don't get any air in the middle there. And then I will go like this. And I will go across the middle on itself. Some people go on the other side, but I like it. This. And in there like that. I prefer this way here. It stops any air getting in the middle from the other way. Just a triangle shape. And I just roll it. You don't really knock much air out doing it like this. So the crumb I find is a lot more open compared to when I do this. I do this. And then I feel like it's just tightening it too much. It's putting too much tightness in the middle. But both ways are awesome. So, yeah, but from now on, I'll stick to my triangle way. And you can use the scraper as well, just to tighten it up. You can really hear the air bubbles getting squeezed. That's how you know you've got a good mix, when you can hear the air. I've got my fridge set to 4 degrees as well. In summer, I drop that down to 2, but it's not really that warm at the moment. So 4 degrees is good. And yeah, just be gentle. Don't knock the air that you work so hard to get in there. So, and the final one. This is starting to get a bit sticky, which tells me that this is really getting close to ready for the fridge. Like so. Okay, you don't have to do this, but I do this sometimes. Just, you can kind of stitch up the top, just gives it a bit more tension on the sides. And it will smooth the bottom too. So you just grab one to the other and just twist, like a shoelace sort of. Like so. This is why I never put rice flour on the bottom of the loaves, only on the top. Because if you put rice flour on the bottom, it won't stick. So, this just gives it a little bit more tension. Now I'm only going to leave this in the Banneton for about 10 more minutes. And I'm going to put it in the fridge. If you have any big air bubbles, just pop them. And that's it. I'm going to leave this for 10 minutes. I'm going to cover it. And I'll put them in the fridge. So the jar's on the 50 mark. So they're ready to go. So I'll take off the couche. I'm going to put these in the fridge now for around 16 hours. I'm going to bake these off tomorrow. So I'll just put 6 per shelf. I can fit 8. So this is a pretty good fridge. Yeah, if I wanted to, I could put 2 side by side, but as I'm only going to put 6 on each shelf, I'll just even them out like that. So, okay, we'll come back tomorrow and bake them off. So it's been about 8 hours. I'll always check the next day to see how they look. Yeah, they're looking great. They've still got a curve on top. They're not overproofed or underproofed. I can tell by the size of the dough in the Banneton. So that's been 8 hours. And I'll wait another 8 or 9 and I'll bake those off tonight. This oven takes 2.5 hours to preheat. So I'll do that later. And yeah, and then I'll bake these off. I always like to leave this out too, just for fun. And I end up getting to 70% with still a curve. So it's been about 17 hours. And I will pull these out the fridge and put them on the boards. So I'll put 4 per board. And these 2. So I empty these onto the sheets. These are Teflon sheets, and they're very heat resistant. And I like using them because it stops my stones in the oven getting all messy. So, and because the Bannetons are damp, they're wet, I will put them upside down on top of the oven, like that, which I'll do at the end. So I'm going to get rice flour and stick them on the top here. And I'll just stick half, like so. And the ones with the rice flour, I'll just put a little pattern. so. And just these two here. I'm going to score this at a 45-degree angle, like this. Starting from the middle and just curving it around like a C shape. So. So I've had this preheating on 250, and now I will place them in the oven. Okay. And I'll drop the temperature down to 210 for 25 minutes. Going to have to straighten up that middle shaft. Get my gloves. And I'll straighten it out because I don't want them touching each other. Okay, now I'll get my steam. And I'll just steam the oven in the corner. And I'll drop this down to 210 for 25 minutes. And in 25 minutes, we will release the steam and increase the temperature back up to 240. So it's been 25 minutes. There's a lot of steam coming out the oven. We're going to need to release the steam, otherwise we won't get any color. And we're going to drop this, we're going to put this back up, sorry, to 240 for 15 minutes. And that will be ready. Close the door, open the damper, so any more steam will just keep coming out now. And in 15 minutes, we'll have a look. So it's been 15 minutes. And got a nice hollow sound. They look really good. Let's have a look at these two. Might need a bit more time on those. But yeah, the top ones are definitely going to come out. And then the middle ones will stay in for a little bit longer. So let me just take these ones out. Looking good. I've got good height for hand mixing. Almost as high as when I used a spiral mixer. So the gluten development was good. And yeah, these are looking good too. This one's a little bit wonky, but it's fine. I do like the height of them. They've got really good height. It's good. So you don't need expensive mixers to make good bread, even when you do at a larger scale. I like this one. This is a nice looking one. But yep, that's it. Close up the oven. And yeah, that's great. So I'll cut into one. This one here. So I'll cut into this one. Yeah, it's nice. It's very hard under this light. And this is the crumb shot, which is a lot better to see now when I'm using my light box that I used to use for Instagram a lot. But yeah, I'm happy with that.